So, I love terrible 80s movies, and I love Alien. Now, putting those two loves together, there is a whole subgenre of alien ripoff movies that I delve into every once in a while, and Star Crystal fits that criteria perfectly. It's an awful movie with a looping plot, but there is some absolute gold if you're able to make it past the terrible acting and nonsense storyline. So, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's watch 1986's Star Crystal. So, right off the bat, we see a team exploring Mars, and how do we know it's Mars? Well, the team finds a cool rock buried in the sand, and just like most toddlers, they decide to take it back home with them, because it's a cool rock. They undress, and we get some good old-fashioned, but also very futuristic, product placement. They mention that their probes found electric circuitry inside of the rock, and then they have a totally natural laugh about it.
Ain't that something?
Let me tell you something else, Doctor. We're the first guys to play football on Mars, ever.
The crew leave to go about their business, but we see the rock whirring and glowing and vaping a little bit, and then the Coca-Cola starts shaking before the rock sheds its shell and reveals a crystal. A star crystal. And also a little goopy guy. This little guy. This is a cute little goopy guy. We then hard cut to a computer system error stating that there's an issue with the electronics, but no one's around to hear it because the oxygen was also vented out during that cut, and all of the crew are dead now.
Warning. Oxygen at critical level. Please use nearest emergency oxygen supply until normal level is restored. Warning. Oxygen at critical...
Then we cut again to a space station, but it's also 2 months later. I love how the 80s did future, like especially in space and stuff. Everything is glowing, all the buttons are glowing and flashing, and everyone's smoking indoors, and there's an escalator. It's very future-y, and I don't know, even the clips of the space station, like, it's just tubes and cardboard and plastic, but it's just so fun. I love the future of the 80s. I think it's just so fun. So the spacecraft from the intro has just docked with the station, and now everyone's trying to figure out why it had that oxygen malfunction that killed the crew. And a small team of engineers and experts are on board of the ship doing some diagnostic work, and this guy is way ahead on the trend of telling kids to get off their phones.
You spend too much time with those computers.
Meanwhile, the leadership all meet on the space station to discuss leadership things, I guess, like which brand deal that they should take next, but the station has some kind of an emergency that causes it to suddenly explode, so bye-bye leaders. Fortunately, the small crew on the dead people ship made it out of the station, so they're all alive. For now. Many of them die. To go over our characters real quick, we've got Roger Campbell, the engineer, Cal, the guy who, he holds a racquetball for a few scenes, Dr. Adrian Kimberly, who's a doctor, Sherry Stevens, who I have no idea what she does in this movie. She's supposed to be the cook, but all of the food is pre-made, so she just carries a food tray around for a couple of scenes, I guess. And then of course, we've got the engine specialist, whose name is Billy. The crew all meet together on the upper deck and decide to go to the nearest outpost for supplies so that they can make it back to Earth. And they also decide that Roger Campbell should be the acting captain. Well, everyone decides that except for Dr. Kimberly, because she hates Roger for some reason. And, I don't know, she just doesn't like him. There's no reason for it. She thinks he's stupid or something. It's never explained, but we all know how these kinds of movies do character arcs, right? Like, clearly, it's just setting up Dr. Kimberly to slowly fall for Campbell after Campbell shows that he's reliable and brave and smart and kind, and she's gonna be like, oh wow, actually you're so hot, Roger, and he'll be like, I'm just doing what any man in my position would do. And then they smooch, and then we have like a scene that we'd probably have to censor out, and it's an 80s movie. They're in space. She hates him. It's for the tension. It's for the character building. It's for that future blur scene. So as the captain, Campbell's able to talk with the ship's AI and chart a course to the outpost, but it's slow going because the ship's reactors are malfunctioning, so Billy's on the job to try and fix it. Also, Dr. Kimberly finds out that one of the water tanks is bad, and I just think it's really funny because the computer only lists the tanks as good or toxic. Like, there's no in between. Everything you drink is either good or you'll die. As Billy's getting the parts for the repair, we see that all of the hallways are these annoying little tubes that the crew have to crawl through, so that's a dumb design. But then the goopy thing grows some tentacles and it ends up grabbing Billy. And surprisingly, I don't think that this looks too bad. Like, the practical effect work for the tentacles, like, it's a little cheap looking, but it looks way better than I expected it to look for Star Crystal. Like, so far, this movie's had really, really low standards, and I think this raised the bar just a little bit. Also, Billy is dead now, so that's sad. Sherry does her best job and carries the food tray up to the deck, where she talks with Cal and Campbell for a bit, but this scene is just, it's pure nothing.
Food! Great! I'm starved. Haven't eaten over 12 hours. Thanks a lot.
Believe you me, that's unusual for him. Glandular problems, you know.
When it's over, Campbell asks Sherry to go check on Billy since she hasn't called in for a while, so Sherry just heads to the reactor room. We see the tentacles slowly inching towards Sherry, and Sherry notices some goop on the floor, so she just puts her whole hand into it for some reason. She lets her intrusive thoughts win on that one, but after high-fiving the goop, she wanders around until she finds Billy dead on the floor and she's all mummatized now, and then she runs out of the reactor room and crawls into the medbay where she finds Dr. Kimberly.
What about Billy?
She's dead! She's got slime!
Slime?
All over!
Kimberly calls up to the command deck and tells Campbell and Cal that Sherry is in hysterics and something has happened to Billy, and Sherry has goop all over her pants now, and this is how Captain Campbell responds.
We've always been a little suspicious of Billy's lesbian traits.
You know, I'm not going to comment on that one. This is a no comment on Billy's lesbian traits. No comment. Kimberly gets mad and rips the phone out of the wall, so now she can't talk with Campbell, but he can still use the overhead speaker to speak with her, so Kimberly, she definitely comes out worse for the wear on that one. Anyway, Kimberly takes a sample of the goop to go and analyze it, and she leaves Sherry alone in the medbay. Kimberly goes up to the deck, where the computer says that the goop is part of some unknown life form, so everyone immediately starts to freak out, and we get introduced to the real suspense machine known as the heat signature map. So this little screen is used a ton. The goop tentacle alien has a different heat signature than the humans, so it shows up as white, while the humans are red. And it's the big suspense maker. You get to see the red dot run away from the white dot, and it's crazy, man. So the white dot heat signature moves towards the command deck, but the crew are able to close and lock the airlocks so the creature can't get inside. But then it starts to move towards Sherry in the medbay, and she's too slow to close the airlock. The creature corners her with its cool little mouthy tentacle thingy, and Cal runs into the crawlway to try and help, but Sherry throws some acid on the alien, but it does nothing, and in response, the alien wraps its tentacle around her and kills her. And then, of course, Cal arrives just in time to see a now dead Sherry, and then the alien turns its attention to him, so he tries to crawl away, but the tentacles are just too fast, and they grab him, and suddenly our crew of 4 has become a crew of 2. Of course, the remaining duo are all sad, but Campbell comforts Kimberly, so that character arc we talked about is coming around nicely. How unpredictable. Kimberly tells Campbell a story of how she used to wonder about the stars, but Campbell is just totally zonked. So cool story, Kimberly.
Did you ever used to wonder about things like that, Campbell?
We then get a shot of the aliens staring at the computer system, and the system warning goes off that the oxygen has been cut off and the remaining oxygen level is dropping by the second. So Campbell asks the AI what happened, and she says that the oxygen was cut off by his order, so somehow the alien tricked the AI, and it becomes clear that something is going on with the alien because we start to see it much more often, just breathing like a pug, and it's just dripping goop. I don't know, it's kind of neat, I guess. Kimberly and Campbell find a video of the previous crew back on Mars. The crew is playing football, but the clip is like 20 hours long in the movie world. So Campbell fast forwards it, and the movie actually plays this like old-timey fast motion music. It's so weird. It doesn't fit at all. They both end up falling asleep, but they wake up when another ship contacts them, and the captain of that ship, it's pretty funny because it just sounds like someone doing their best to imitate a plane captain.
Shuttlecraft 37, looks like your transmitter's out. We have the same problem.
Unfortunately, the communications are jammed by the aliens, so they determine that the next best option of communicating is to have one ship turn to the right to signal that they're okay, and then the alien somehow makes the ship turn right. So the other ship's just like, yeah, cool guys, you're all fine, and that's nice. Well, meet you at the supply depot. And they're not in the movie again. So basically we just learned that the alien is getting control of the ship somehow, and it's smarter than we initially thought. And Campbell's getting all mad about it, so he ends up just throwing a full-on tantrum, like a full-on toddler tantrum, where they just don't know what to do, so they get violent, where they're just like, I have to hit something now. I have so much rage in my tiny body, and Campbell's just thrashing around. It's so funny.
Stop it, Campbell! Stop it!
Oh, also, in a few scenes we've seen the alien using telekinesis or something like that. He's able to levitate things, and that's important because a giant meteor is coming right for the ship, and they can't avoid it. So Campbell and Kimberly are thinking that they're about to die, but then the crystal lights up and a force field projects around the entire ship, and everything turns out to be just fine.
Bernice, where's the force field's point of origin?
The engine room.
Then we just hard cut to 2 days later, and Dr. Kimberly is passed out because they're starving, and Campbell, he plants a little kiss on her, because that's totally okay, right? It's totally okay. If you're starving to death and you see someone who's just passed out, you just go up and it's a little kiss on the cheek. There you go. Campbell decides to take drastic measures and get them some food.
Please don't go.
I have to.
The oxygen is depleted in the tube hallways, so he puts on a breathing mask thingy and crawls to the kitchen, but he gets jump scared by Cal's dead and mummified body, and his mask just falls off. And it would be so funny if he just died here. But no, he makes it. Campbell's just fine. he gets another breathing thingy in the kitchen, and he does Sherry's job. You know, he has to do Sherry's job now. Jeez, man, he's doing everything. He grabs a food tray, and he carries it back to the bridge for him and Kimberly to share. And he also says that he saw the alien, but it never touched him, and it turned the air back on. But it doesn't show us any of that. It just happened on his way back from the kitchen, I guess. Like, they just forgot to film that part. I don't know. Now, for the dining scene, we learn that Campbell is related to the creator of Campbell's Soup. He also tells us an insane story about him and his uncle, or the creation of Campbell's company or something. It's unclear, but he tells it like he was there, and it's just really weird. And there's a blizzard and a desert, and I think there was a desert. Maybe there wasn't a desert. Maybe it was just a blizzard.
It was my great-great-great-grandfather who founded the company back in the late 1800s. Unfortunately, he lost it all in a gambling game in the Badlands of South Dakota. I remember the night well. There was a cold wind blowing in from the north. And I said to him, "You've been a good boy, Uncle."
They end up eating tomato soup and stare out the window and discuss that the alien has been fixing up the ship, and they'll be at the supply depot in less than 2 days now. And then we get more scenes of the alien breathing like a pug and staring at the computer, and something it does causes the system to start flashing and sending a warning to the command deck.
What is it?
It accessed the computer.
So, we're like an hour plus into this movie, and it's a 90-minute movie. It's an hour and a half. And this is where it starts to just become brilliant. This is beautiful, because the alien accesses all of the data on human history, and of course, it zooms in on the Bible. Now, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, God is good, all right? God is good. Even in space, God is good. In space, God can hear you scream. But things have been too good for too long, so there's one more problem that the crew has to face, because the outpost is coming up, but they'll need to activate the brakes from the engine room because it's only functioning on a manual level. But the alien is just chilling in the engine room, and it hasn't moved, so it's time to confront the alien. So Campbell heads to the tubes, and he's brought a blowtorch for defense, but he immediately drops it, and the alien he scoops it away, scoops it away. Campbell runs to grab the crystal for some reason, and then he just gets frozen in place before he can make contact with it. And then also, Kimberly sees the heat signatures on the map, so she decides to run in after Campbell to help him. Campbell turns around, and for the first time, we see the full view of the alien.
What do you want?
And then, the alien full-on talks.
I need this ship.
Campbell he ends up screaming at the alien about how he killed all of the crewmates, and the alien's like, yeah, well, you would have done the same. And then Kimberly shows up, and she's got like a tiny little knife, but before she can use it, the alien just uses his mind powers and holds them both up against walls. And the pug alien ends up revealing that it never wanted to kill anyone, but the humans started trying to kill it, so it killed back in self-defense. It says that Cal had a gun and was trying to kill him, and it says that Sherry threw acid on it, so that counted, I guess. But let me ask you, pug alien, what about Billy? Billy got snuck up on. What did she do? What about the previous crew? Like, maybe they did something we don't see that they did something, but maybe they did. What about the whole space station? Like, I assume that was the aliens doing. Maybe it wasn't the aliens doing. Maybe, like, the space station blowing up was a freak accident. But, like, the alien showing up and the space station just blowing up, it's supposed to be a coincidence? I don't think so. What I'm saying is that I don't believe the pug alien, and I think he's a murderer. But regardless, I guess he just doesn't want to kill Campbell or Kimberly, so he just lets them down after they promise that they won't try and hurt him again. Also, we learn the alien has a name.
Gar.
That is my name.
So Gar agrees to get them to the supply depot where it will let them both board the other ship that we saw in exchange for allowing him to take this ship to wherever he wants to go.
It's strange, but I feel that I can trust you.
You can.
So just like that, the alien makes friends with the humans and they forgive him for killing all of their friends. Just like that. We get a few short scenes that they're kind of just compilation style, where Gar and the humans talk about how they didn't understand each other, but now they do, and they're getting along really well, and Gar found God, and now everything's great, and he's using his powers to do pranks, and they're being all cute about it, and they're traveling to the supply depot, and then they get to the supply depot, but uh-oh, we have one more problem. A gravity well has opened up in space, and it's going to destroy the ship if they don't undock from the supply depot. So, Gar tells them to take the ship, and he'll do his best to convert the depot into something that he can use, and it's all sad, and then, like, the greatest song in the world just starts to play. It's awesome. It comes out of nowhere, and it's awesome.
I will always remember you. Goodbye.
In space with a stranger, we do what we believe in. Safety or danger, there's no place left to hide.
And anyway, that's where the movie ends. It ends right like that. I guess Gar stays on the supply depot, and the humans take the ship and leave, and that other ship that we saw earlier maybe dies in the gravity well. I don't know. We assume that Kimberly and Campbell make it back to Earth, and it's great. So the movie's not very good. The song is amazing. This song, it's great. I'd say Star Crystal is it's like a 2 out of 5. But then also God though. But also God, it's a 5 out of 5. It's a 5 out of 5. Space God makes it a 5 out of 5. Great movie. Star Crystal. You can watch it on YouTube right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much to my YouTube members for the extra support. I love you. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.